First off, I want to thank everyone for being here today and to give a huge thank you to the teams at Amnesty and Human Rights Watch for their tireless efforts in the pursuit of truth and accountability concerning the deadly Israeli strikes that targeted our group of journalists on October the 13th in the southern Lebanese village of Al-Sha'b. The strikes that killed our friend and colleague, Issam Abdallah of Reuters, that left my AFP colleague, Christina Asi, of her, that severely wounded Al Jazeera cameraman Ali Barahia. The rest of us for journalists with shrapnel wounds and all sorts of other scars. I'd also like to draw your attention today to an in-depth investigation released today by AFP in partnership with Air Wars, a leading authority on conflict with a team of investigators and a network of world-renowned forensic and military experts. I want to thank them too for their diligent work on our behalf. And I believe the findings of AFP's report support and underline those that will be laid out to you for today by Amnesty and Human Rights Watch. But I'm not an investigator. I'm not a human rights lawyer. I'm a journalist. And I'm here today to simply serve as a witness to what happened. So on October the 13th, my colleague Christina Asi and I were tasked with monitoring the situation along Lebanon's southern border and had spent most of the day driving along the blue line. It had been an incredibly quiet day, but at some point in the afternoon, we heard a few distant bangs and we began to see a large plume of smoke rising into the air. We agreed to move together, Issam and I. He first checked in with Reuters security, and we started slowly driving towards the smoke. As we pulled up to a hilltop on the outskirts of Al-Sha'b around 5 p.m. that day, we found the Al Jazeera crew broadcasting live from that position. It seemed like the perfect place to set up. There was a column of smoke about 2 kilometers to our south, beyond a distant hilltop along the border. We felt safe, we felt secure, and so we got to work. 7 journalists, all of us wearing flak jackets and helmets. Everyone clearly marked as a member of the press. We had 3 live feeds to 3 international news agencies. The Israelis knew we were there from the moment we arrived. We were visible to multiple in the air the entire time. With their state-of-the-art surveillance equipment, I imagine they could probably see our faces. For the next hour, we filmed this pillar of smoke and some contained Israeli shelling along the hilltops to our southeast. We could hear the bang of outgoing Israeli artillery fire, hear the whistle, and we watched as the shells hit along a set of distant hilltops. There was no military activity near us. We didn't hear any outgoing fire from the Lebanese side. Just before 6 p.m., we turned our cameras towards the west. The sun was setting, there was smoke, and then boom, we were hit. It came out of nowhere. I was blown back a bit, and I turned around and saw my colleague Christina on the ground. She was screaming and asking what happened, and saying that she couldn't feel her legs. When I got to her, I saw the devastating extent of her wounds, bones sticking out of both legs. I knew immediately that I had to stop her bleeding as quickly as possible. I had 2 tourniquets with me. My plan was to put tourniquets on each leg, so I bent down, I got her left leg in front of me, took the first tourniquet off my vest, shook it open, and began sliding it up her knee. And then again we were hit, this time by an even larger explosion. There were just 37 seconds between the 2 strikes. The second strike hit Al Jazeera's car next to us. I looked down and I saw blood running down both of my arms, felt it dripping off my face and onto Christina. I looked up and saw a leg laying on the ground next to Al Jazeera's burning car, which I later realized belonged to Issam. I saw Carmen, her face completely black, stumbling. I saw Eli lying motionless on the ground, groaning. I knew then that I had to move and call for help, and so I did. We didn't find Issam until the first ambulance arrived. He was blown through the wall. He had been standing next to. He landed amid the rubble, his body charred almost beyond recognition. I rode in the ambulance with Isam's body and somehow ended up holding his mobile phone. It was ringing nonstop, call after call, and I'm sure every single person was calling him, hoping he'd pick up, hoping he'd answer with one of his classic corny jokes, that he'd reassure them that he was okay. Sadly, I couldn't do that for him. Everyone who has ever met Isam will have heard one of those jokes. They will have seen his cheeky, infectious grin. They will have known his wit and his passion for cameras and his love of food and motorcycles, and preferably a combination of the two all at once. They will have known him as the kind man he was, as a man who loved to help and who was seemingly always around to lend a hand, always prepared, always ready to get a friend out of a jam. He was the beating heart of the journalism scene here in Beirut, and his absence is felt acutely. My thoughts are with his family as they struggle with this tragic killing, a brutal double-tap attack on journalists simply doing their job. My thoughts are also with my colleague Christina Asi, who is bedridden in the hospital and can't be with us here today. Since October 13th, she has undergone more than 15 different surgeries. She has been in the ICU repeatedly. She has bled. Her life will never be the same.
ولكن قوتها عظيمة وساعدتني على التغلب على الصدمة في الشهرين الماضيين. لست متأكد ونتائج هذه التحقيقات ولن تعد عصام إلى الحياة ولن تعد كريستين إلى المشي ثانية، ولكن على الأقل سوف تكون نقطة بداية لتحقيق العدالة. الشهران الماضيان قطع الصوت. الصوت متقطع.
But I hope the fact that some of us survived to give testimony in Isam's case, and such a cruel killing.
آمل أن يكون هناك من يقدم الشهادة على ما حصل لعصام.
Speaking with Christina last night,
بالحديث مع كريستينا الليلة الماضية قلت إن كان بإمكاني أن أقدم رسالة باسمها وبعثت لي التالي: نحن اخترنا الصحافة لكي نقوم بتقديم الحقيقة، والتزامنا ما زال ثابتا، لا شيء يمكن أن يسكتنا. شكرا.
إذن مشاهدينا
الكرام، كان هذا ديلان كولينز الصحفي في وكالة صحافة